Hey, all you coon hunters, speak to 'em, Pete. Man, just listen what a jaw on a dog. Hello, this is Jimmy. There's no one at the phone right now, but I'll be back shortly. As you know, you gotta really hunt for the good life. Now, if you have a message, if you'll leave your name and phone number, I'll get back in touch with you. You can leave your message at the sound of the beep, and I thank you for calling.
You have strictly got a home on wheels.
Yeah.
That's when I say free-going man, seems like everybody's asleep. Sound like it. You know what I mean. Going in the Southland. Y'all too much now, just cut it off here. One more time. I was born way down in the Southland. That's good. Yeah, somebody do that.
King of Bluegrass music, make welcome from Nashville, Tennessee, Jimmy Martin!
Here comes your song, buddy. You got your men Ralph Stanley on your hat. You might as well get ready to put mud in that hat when I get through with it. I was born way down, Lord, in the Southland. Woo! Whoopee! Ha ha! Wow! Pop de doo pop pop doo da doo doo. Hang on, children. I ran away for the first time. When I was 4 years old, I'm a free-born man. My little home's on my back. I know every highway, every foot of back road, every mile of railroad track. Got a gal in Cincinnati, got a woman in San Antonio. Said I always loved the girl next door. To any place that's home, I'm a free-born man. My little home is on my back. I know every...
Jimmy Martin was born and raised in the farming town of Sneedville in the hills of eastern Tennessee. There he grew up fascinated by the sounds of the weekly broadcast of WSM's Grand Ole Opry. With the 50,000-watt clear channel, the Nashville-based Opry reached households from coast to coast and has long been the pinnacle of the live country music radio shows.
That's my first guitar that I ever had. I listened to the Grand Ole Opry, and Prince Albert was their sponsor. She's long, she's tall, she's 6 feet from the ground. She's long, she's tall, she's 6 feet from the ground. She tell her man, Lord, Lord, but she ain't no hand me down. Oh, lay Bob, how you doing?
I'm up in Iowa freezing my butt off.
Freezing your butt off?
Yeah.
Well, now, it's not too warm here.
Well, how you been doing?
Have you had a good winter?
Yeah, pretty good. We did okay. How you been doing?
Well, I've been doing great. Been doing a lot of hunting.
The real thing I want to know is they're putting Dr. Ralph Stanley on the Grand Ole Opry as a member, and I'm wondering why can't they do the same for you?
Well, I don't guess they want to. You know, I ain't got good enough yet. What do you think about
You
it?
mean you still got to practice after 50 years of playing?
Well,
Maybe the Grand Ole Opry and their new manager ought to reconsider.
yeah.
and maybe make a phone call to Jimmy Martin and say, Jimmy, would you like to be on the Grand Ole Opry?
You know what I'd say?
What would you tell him?
No, hell no, I don't care nothing about being on the Grand Ole Opry, because I don't want to be on the Grand Ole Opry. I hear that it's going down, and if they can't, and look here, it is what they say, and if I can't be on it and help the Grand Ole Opry, and them pushing me around and making me look like I'm a nothing, just go right ahead. I am somebody, and I'm living good and doing anything I want to. I'd say I just don't care about the Grand Ole Opry. I love it, and I love what it's done with Hank Williams, Bill Monroe, and Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, but they've treated me so bad that they could just take and go on down to the dogs if they don't want to come back up tree coons and rabbit hunt with me. That's it.
It's kind of like keeping poor Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame in baseball. Pete Rose was one of the greatest ball players there ever was, and Jimmy Martin's one of the greatest bluegrass musicians there ever was. They should have already put him in the Opry, and I'm saying that I'm on the Opry. Should have done made him a member, and I feel that they've cheated Jimmy out of that, and I just don't think it's right.
Jimmy is the kind of entertainer that made the Opry. He doesn't just drape himself around a microphone. I mean, there's something going all the time, and Jimmy was always different from the herd. He's always been a rebel. He's been a renegade all his life.
Jimmy always wanted to have a show, rather than just four dead guys up there like posts. The old style bluegrass thing where there's three or four guys standing around looking at each other, and playing. That's not where it's at with Jimmy.
He can have an audience in the palm of his hand after the first verse and the chorus of a song, quicker than anybody ever seen in my life. And they'll hang right there with him. He just got that knack.
If ever I get back to that state of Tennessee, I tell you there'll be no more roaming for me. That little sweetheart said she'd marry me. As soon as I get back to that state of Tennessee, Tennessee, I hear you calling me. I hear you calling me. The home of Davy Crockett in the hills of Tennessee.
Thank you.
A lot of people think this is really strange, and this is really strange. When I first heard that Jimmy Martin had put up his own tombstone, everybody that came to Nashville, this became an instant part of my tour. I brought countless people out here. As a kid, Lester Flatt told me that Acuff's tombstone went up, 30 or 40 years before he passed away, and he used to bring flowers to his own tomb. But nobody talked about that. There was no controversy there. This caused a stir.
In the beautiful hills, way back in old Sneedville, that's where I have from. Our next little place we come to will be my hometown, Sneedville, where I was born and raised. This little old valley sure looks good up through here, don't it?
Yeah, boy.
Brings back a lot of memories. We always had to work about 6 days a week, get off on Sunday after feed the hogs of a morning, walk about 3 miles back through the woods to Reuben Gibson's. He's the only one in that country that had a guitar and let me play it. He learned me the chords so I could learn to play and sing. Me and Dwayne Wilder and Ralph Hurley with the guitar and the mandolin got us a good trio. On Sundays, you'd catch us in the shade of an old apple tree somewhere on the side of the road. My dad passed away when I was 4 years old, and I don't remember too much about him. My mother always milked the cows every morning and at night and churned the butter. A lot of the food that we eat during the winter, she'd can it during the summer. She was a real hard-working woman. My granddad Martin would often sit down in the swing on his porch when I'd go down and visit him and tell me about my dad. Love my granddad sitting around telling me all that.
All the good times have passed and gone. All the good times are over.
This was the last house that I lived in when I put my guitar on my back and started walking down the road, thumbing me a ride. Stopped by my granddad Martin's, borrowed $10 off of him to go to Morristown, Tennessee and get me a job in a factory. Then I got fired on the job. I was singing too much and everybody said I couldn't sing. So they fired me for singing on the job. So I went down to the Grand Ole Opry and met Bill Monroe and sung a couple of songs with him, and he hired me. Then I went back to Morristown, Tennessee and thanked the man for firing me, told him he could listen in on Saturday night and hear me on the Grand Ole Opry with Bill Monroe. Things kind of look sad around here. Old house just don't look the same. It looks like it's about had its best days, don't it? Of course, my grandpa's been dead for a long time.